Hey, everybody, and welcome back. We're tackling Atomic Habits today by James Clear.
It's a good one.
Seriously popular, and for good reason, right?
Yeah.
We already know it's about ditching those bad habits, building good ones.
Right.
But we're going deeper than that today.
Yeah.
Who really has time to read every self-help book out there?
That's true.
I used to think I was like a hydration hero.
Oh,
Seriously. Reusable water bottle, the whole 9 yards.
right.
But then I started tracking how much I was actually drinking, and
Yeah.
not so much.
It's easy to overestimate, for sure, especially when you think you're doing well. You can't manage what you don't measure.
And that's what's so powerful, right?
Yes.
Those tiny, tiny things, those little changes
Right.
that Clear talks about. And one of the things that I think is so interesting in this is the focus on systems over goals.
Yeah, I think that's a really important distinction because so much in our society is focused on, like, what goal are you going to achieve?
Yeah.
But really, what dictates what you do in any given day, like, let's say your after-work routine.
Right.
Are you somebody who mindlessly ends up, like, scrolling on Instagram?
Right.
Or are you someone who, like, goes to the gym? Right.
Yeah.
And the answer is usually not like a goal you set like a month ago or
Right.
whatever. It's really about the systems you have in place.
It's like he says, obsessing over goals is like constantly redesigning your website's homepage,
Right.
but never fixing the code underneath.
Yeah. Yeah. Fix the like back end of your website, not the front end. The systems are the code that run our habits.
Totally. And then he brings up identity, which I find really fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you actually change who you believe you are or align your habits with who you want to be? And he has this great story about a guy who, he's a nail biter his whole life. Nothing works.
Right.
Gets a manicure.
Just one manicure
And that was it.
made him feel like somebody with nice nails. And then from then on, he didn't bite his nails.
It's so interesting because it's like you've changed like an actual
It's a self-perception.
self-perception.
Yeah.
So what habit have you been trying to change, and what does that say about the person you want to become?
Such a good question to think about. So we've got these systems,
Yeah.
but how do we actually put this into practice?
Yeah.
And he gives us this framework, the 4 laws of behavior change.
Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying.
That's it.
It sounds so simple,
It.
but I think there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's start with make it obvious.
Okay.
Seems pretty straightforward. If you want to build a habit,
Yeah.
make it something you're going to see often or you're thinking about.
It's more than just reminders, though, right? It's about how our environment shapes our behavior in ways that we don't even really realize.
Oh, interesting.
He gives that great example of, like, in the Netherlands, they found that there are all these homeowners that use something like 30% less energy
Wow.
than everyone else just because their homes were set up in a way that, like, made energy conservation just more obvious.
Interesting.
Like, the light switches are easy to reach.
All
or
right,
hit.
or the appliances just use less energy.
Exactly.
Which is like built in.
Because it's like those subtle things in our environment that can have this huge impact on, like, how we actually act,
Right. Because I think a lot of times we think we have so much more control.
Totally. We're like, I'm in control of my actions. It's like, well, are you though? Like,
Right, exactly.
and the research suggests not as much as we think. Okay, so make it attractive.
Ooh, okay. This is the fun one.
Right.
How do we make our habits enticing?
So he talks about temptation bundling,
Okay.
which is basically you pair something that you need to do with something you want to do.
Oh, give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you're a student
Okay.
and you love to watch Netflix,
Right.
but you also know that you should be working out. So you rig your stationary bike to only let you watch Netflix while you're pedaling.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's really smart.
Genius.
So you're linking something that you really enjoy with something
That
that
you need to do.
you should do, or
Yeah,
Exactly.
or need to do.
and it just like makes the whole experience so much more appealing.
Way more enticing.
Right, exactly.
What else?
Make it easy. So this is about reducing friction.
And by friction, you mean like just the little obstacles.
Exactly.
Like throughout your day.
Right, exactly. And these like tiny obstacles
Yeah.
can really derail our efforts over time.
Right, totally.
He gives this example of like he used to keep his TV remote like out of sight, and it helped him like watch less TV.
Because it was just that little bit of effort to, like, get up and go get it.
It's like you're making the path of least resistance the thing that you actually want to be doing.
Exactly. You got to reduce that friction.
So smart.
And then the last one is make it satisfying.
Okay, this one feels big.
Yeah.
Our brains just love.
Immediate gratification.
Yes. even if it's small.
Right. Exactly. That's why like rewarding yourself
Yeah.
for sticking to habit is so important.
Right.
Because it gives you that little like dopamine hit.
Yes.
That, like makes you want to keep going. And he gives this example of like Wrigley's gum.
Oh.
So like early versions of gum were actually kind of bland.
Right.
But when they added flavor, it wasn't for like the functionality of it. It was just to make it more enjoyable to chew. And it ended up being this massive success.
Because it's just that little reward.
Right, exactly.
That makes you want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I love that. Those 4 laws are great, but he doesn't stop there. He goes deeper. Like, how do those habits really stick long term?
Yeah.
And one of the things I found really interesting was habit tracking,
Yeah.
which sounds
Simple.
so simple.
But it's surprisingly powerful.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Remember my water bottle.
Yeah, totally. You think you're doing great and then you track it and you're like,
Yeah, not so much.
reality check.
And he tells the story of this rookie stockbroker,
Yeah.
Trent Dursmid.
Trent Dursmid. Love that story.
And he had these 2 jars.
Yeah.
One with 120 paper clips.
Yep.
Representing his sales calls.
Every day. Yeah.
And every time he made a call, he moved a paper clip to the other jar.
So good. Yeah.
I love that.
It's so simple.
It's so visual.
But it makes it tangible, right?
Yeah,
you can see the progress.
It's like gamifying it almost.
Totally. Yeah.
And then another thing that I think a lot of us struggle with is, you know, the idea of talent versus habit.
Yeah.
Like, are we just
Yeah.
not cut out for certain things?
I'm just not a math person.
Yeah.
Right? We've all been there. I hear that all the time.
And he uses this example of Michael Phelps.
Right.
And
Hitchem El Garoud.
El Garouge, right?
Mhm.
Both Olympic champions, but in very, very different sports.
Totally different.
So how does he tie that to talent versus habit?
So he's basically saying that, like, we overestimate talent and we underestimate habit. Like, we think, oh, Michael Phelps, he was just born to swim. And it's like, yeah.
He was built for it.
He was literally built for it.
Right.
And then you have, like, Hitchem El Garouge, who was, like, built to be a middle distance runner.
Yeah.
So they both reached this, like, peak of their sport, but in some ways they were kind of, it was like meant to be.
Right, right.
But it's about finding the right habit for your
type or like your
natural inclinations, right?
So it's not that some people are just good at things.
Right.
It's just they found the thing that they're
suited for and they built the habits around it.
they're good at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so key.
And you know what I think is so powerful about this book? It really gives you the tools
Yeah.
to understand your own tendencies.
Absolutely.
And then create systems that will help you be who you want to be.
Yeah. It's not some magic formula.
Yeah.
It's really about like self-awareness and then like putting in the work. And like you were saying earlier, it's a skill.
Yeah.
Like building good habits is a skill.
It's a skill, and like any skill, you can learn it.
Right. Exactly.
And I think the big takeaway here from Atomic Habits
Yeah.
is that these small changes,
Tiny changes, the 1%.
the 1%,
Yep.
they compound over time.
Like compound interest just gets bigger and bigger.
And it may seem so insignificant, like if I just change this one tiny thing,
Totally.
but over time, it makes a huge difference.
A massive difference.
So what is that one tiny thing, that 1% you can change today? You don't have to change your whole life. Just start small. Build that consistency. It all starts to add up. That's it for our deep dive into Atomic Habits. Until next time, keep those good habits rolling.